Okay, you guys, today's a very short lesson. I'm sure you're excited about that. Doing geometric series now. Yesterday you learned arithmetic. Today you're going to learn geometric. So again, it's going to be a formula. I recommend you guys writing the formulas down when you're doing them on your own and answering your questions. All right, so again, when we're doing geometric is your common ratio. Just like when we did with arithmetic series, you had to use your arithmetic sequence. Your geometric series, don't forget we're going to be using the geometric sequence. And just to review, a sub n equals a1 r n minus 1. So just don't forget that. Again, I would write them all down on your paper. So let's write our formula for this one. Again, this is going to be when we are calculating the sum of finite. Again, it has to stop. Geo series. So again, you have to know, is it geometric, is it arithmetic, and that will all depend on the formula you use. So here we go. S of n equals a1, 1 minus r raised to the n, all over 1 minus r. Now, if I were you guys, I'll write the stuff down. When you're putting this in a calculator, I highly recommend putting the r's in parentheses. Watch your signs and all that other stuff. Okay, so let's go through what each of these terms mean one more time. S of n is going to actually be the sum of your terms. A1, first term. R is our common ratio. And obviously, n is going to be your number of terms. Very different than what we did with the arithmetic. All right, we're going to go straight into doing the examples. Again, they're not that challenging. There's only really 2 types of questions I can ask you, so that's good for you guys. Okay, here's the first part. Okay, and your homework tonight is going to be a mix of geometric with arithmetic with all of the summation as well. So just be on the lookout for that. So I'm going to write evaluate. Okay, so here's my E. I'm going to put n equals 1, 8, 6, negative 2 to the n. Now, if you guys recall, you can substitute starting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, stopping at 8, adding them all up. Or you decide to use your sum series. Now, just make sure you guys are aware of this. If your rule, remember this, is a linear equation, you guys are going to do the arithmetic series. Sum. If your rule is, we'll say, if you have your power is the exponent. So something like this. If you have some kind of exponent, this power is an exponent, is a variable. That should have said if your power is a variable. Then you guys know it's geometric. Otherwise, you have to substitute from start to finish. And we talked about that yesterday, meaning that's when you'd have to substitute in. All right, so let's start our rule. We're doing the sum of 8 terms equals A1 is my first term. So we have to go ahead and find our first term. To find the first term, all you're doing is substituting it in. So I'm going to substitute this. So A of 1 equals 6 times negative 2 to the first. Oh, I can't really see that. Negative 2 to the first. So we have negative 2 to the first is negative 2 times 6, is negative 12. So your first term is 12. So A1, 12. 1 minus R. R is your common ratio. This is your R. That is your common ratio. So your common ratio is negative 2. Like I said, I would recommend using parentheses. Then we're going to raise it to 8, the number of terms we want. And then we're going to put it over 1 minus the common ratio. So again, I'm just looking up here. So I'm just going to highlight this. First term, 1 minus r to the n over 1 minus r. Please make sure you have that written down so you have the formula. Again, I really recommend using parentheses, otherwise your calculator might make a mistake. And when you put that all in the calculator, what you can also do in the calculator is just type in your numerator, 1 minus parentheses negative 2 to the 8th, because you want to raise negative 2 to the 8, not 2. If you do that correctly, I would break it down. You should get that. Make sure you know how to use the calculator. And then obviously 1 minus negative 2 is 3. Now when you put this all in the calculator, here's your sum of the 8 terms using the geometric. Okay, let's try another one. We're just going to put an M. We're going to say 9. We're going to say negative 2. M minus 1. Okay, I was just thinking about something. All right, so again, geometric. I'm just going to write... This is geometric because it has this. So looking at our thing, we want, S of 9 terms equals, all right, so we want to find the first term. So A1 equals negative 2, 1 minus 1. So this becomes 0. We all know anything to the 0 power is 1. Parentheses, 1 minus common ratio. Common ratio is whatever the R is. You should recall that. If you remember, this is what's happening here, the rule. The R is the common ratio, and it's whatever the exponent is. So you have this, so we got negative 2, raise it to the 9th, you have 9 terms, over 1 minus negative 2, and close. So what is the sum of 9 terms? And you guys get 511. Now, just to highlight something as I was looking at my notes, be aware that if I had given you this as your rule, I'm not sure what's on the homework, I forget. If I gave you this as your rule, I'm just going to star this. You have to be careful. What you want to do for yourself, if I give it to you like this, you have to interpret this as the negative, well, what's in front of the 2? A 1. That's really negative 1 is the first term. 2 now is your common ratio, and then it's raised to the m minus 1. So just be on the lookout for something like that if they're not using parentheses. So just maybe put that a star on your paper. This is the same thing as if you had done that. If we don't put parentheses, you have to interpret it like that. Otherwise, your parentheses. But hopefully you guys should know. Okay. I mean, they're the same thing over and over again where you're using the formula. Things that are formula-based, I'm not going to do too many because it's straightforward. But let me show you guys the second type of question I could ask you, and then you guys are done. As I told you, geometric is pretty easy. Okay, so here's the question. Find the sum of the first 9 terms given. All right, so here you go. 1, negative 4, positive 16, and negative 64. Okay, So clearly, you guys look at this and you say, okay, first of all, we want to find sum. Sum is the sum formula. So your problems are going to be a little harder because you have to do a lot of deciding. So it's the sum formula, and then you would look and you would say, they're constantly being multiplied by -4, so this is geometric. You got to make sure you understand that. You have to decide. So then you look at your notes, and here is your sum of your geometric formula. So I want the sum of 9 terms equals, well, what goes first? A1, which is my first term. Here's A1. It is your first term. Parentheses. 1 minus common ratio. How is it doing? How are you multiplying? The common ratio is -4. Use parentheses. Raise it to the 9 over 1 minus -4. Close it. Again, make sure you know how to do this with your calculator. So when you look at it, you should be okay. And then, final answer is 52,429. Okay, last problem. So first, there's going to be 2 parts of this last problem. I'm going to say, write, so part A, write the series in sigma notation. So that's the first part. And here you guys go. Okay, so if you look at this series, again, you have to decide arithmetic or geometric. You should realize you're constantly being multiplied by -4, so please make note it's geometric. So you're writing, so that means you're going to start with this. We're going to start, you can put every letter you want, n equals 1. And because we're doing dot dot, I didn't tell you how much I want, up top, infinity. Then you want your rule. If you remember, the rule, since you all told me it's a geometric, is the geometric sequence rule. So they go hand in hand. So the geometric sequence rule, if you recall, here we go. Keep writing them all down. A1, first term, parentheses, common difference. Common difference is -4. And then n minus 1. Now, if I have a part B, now my part B is going to say, find the sum of the first 8 terms. Okay, so you know it's geometric. Let's do our sum formula. We want the sum of 8 terms. We want to put the first one there. So the first term is 2, parentheses, 1 minus common ratio, raise it to the 8, all over 1 minus common ratio. Put that in your calculator, and that's how you get the sum of the first 8 terms. Here you go. And that's it. Hopefully you guys thought geometric was pretty simple. Like I said, it should be. Your homework tonight is on geometric and arithmetic and summation notation. So use the notes that you have for Monday and Tuesday and today to do the homework. Really work hard, you guys. All right, talk to you later. Bye.